They say you've never seen a salad. That's why you're fat. You wobble like a jelly, and your arms are so fat. You're out of breath just talking. Too fat to shag. You can't see your feet for your belly. You're a big fat slag, and it's hi-ho, you fat bastard. You had all the pies, now baby, you've never seen a salad. You had all the pies, you fat bastard.
Right, hello boxing fans, we're here with another news update. I'm Kurt Ward, joined by Alex Morris, Brian King, Paul Webb. We're going to be discussing the news that Peter Kid Chocolate Quillin, the man who vacated the WBO title and turned down a $1.4 million payday, he's been inactive since. He's finally come back to fight Andy Lee for the title he vacated, and he's missed weight. I think he came in 161.4. He had 2 hours to lose it. He tried, he couldn't do it, and now he's going to be fighting in a non-title bout. Brian, what's Peter Quillin doing? Because he's making a bit of a knob of himself lately.
I don't think he's actually making a knob of himself. I just think he's just like everybody else in that camp where they don't really need to give a fuck. Like you seen that like the other week where Broner came in a pound overweight and all of a sudden it was actually like 140 plus 1. Like, and they're saying because it's not a title fight. And I was like, but if it's not a title fight, they've normally it's a catch weight. They don't just kind of randomly make their own fucking weight limit on the day if you can't make the weight. But that corner to corner, he looked a bit heavy, and it's as if like, well, he's not going to make that weight. He's not going to make the weight, and then he steps on the scales and he doesn't make the weight, and it looks as if he kind of tried because he get like maybe a pun off or so many ounces, but. It's a fucking disaster. I don't even know why he took the fight in the first place because he's not interested in that belt. I mean, if he won the belt, whoever won that tomorrow night would not be allowed to have shown that on CBS. So he's just an waster. He turned down 1.4 million to fight Korobov, who ended up gassing against Lee, and he says that he'll make more money back for the fights, and he's not going to make the money here. He's going to take a bit of a bad one off Andy Lee. Right, and he's going to get fined for this as well. So Andy Lee's going to get money off him.
Well, he turned down that 1.4 million, or Heyman told him not to take that fight, obviously because of Heyman's problems with Jay-Z and Beyonce, whatever. Apparently, he's only getting $400,000 for tomorrow's fight.
Mate, that's his highest ever paid as well. That's the most he's ever been paid.
And now he's not even going to have a title at the end of it, unless these, rumoured PBC titles. But I noticed something someone said on Twitter just earlier. The PBC should be named Premier Boxing Catchweights because both fights tomorrow night now are going to be catchweights. No titles on the line in either bout. Alex, I know you're a big fan of Kid Chocolate. Let us know what you think of this.
I just think he's a complete waste of space. I've really got no time for Peter Quillin. I think that to begin with, that he was a bit of a paper champion, a paper belt holder. I mean, yeah, they're all sort of paper belt holders when, Sergio was the champion. And obviously he lost, now Golovkin's sort of taken over that mantle. But him especially, I think that he's just a complete waste. He's there simply because he's got, he's Heyman's foothold in the middleweight division. He's there possibly to. Originally, I thought that he was going to be there, so that Canelo could move up and easily get a belt. But obviously, the rift between Heyman and Golden Boy, has made that less likely to happen. But still, I feel now that he's got a bit of a fan base now. He's got a bit of a presence in New York, I believe, and I've got no time for him. He fights complete wasters. He hasn't really beaten anyone of note. As I said in I've said it before, the Gabe Rosado fight. Gabe Rosado was beating him before that really bad stoppage. Yeah, honestly, the fact that he's not even, I would say, 1.5 pounds is not bothering to make weight. 2 pounds definitely not bothering, but 1.5 pounds is either some serious training mismanagement or just not bothering. Yeah, he came back and tried to shave the rest off, but as Brian said, maybe it's going to be, there's no point to it because maybe they're going to be getting the PBC belts anyway. But I seriously hope Lee fucks him up, because you bin your belt and then you talk all this big game and say, oh, I'm going to come and take that belt back off of you. I'm going to come and take back what's mine. And then he fucks up the weight as well, and he turns down, $1.5 million. He's just an embarrassment as a fighter.
He's just a stereotypical Cuban.
Well, I mean, he's released a statement. So his statement says, so what can I say? I didn't make weight. I want to apologise to Andy Lee and to all my supporters and fans. I made every effort to make weight, but it just wasn't meant to be, and I have nobody to blame but myself. I may not win a title tomorrow, but I still have a fight to win, and I still plan to put on a good performance. I promise to use this as a learning experience for the future. Learning experience for what? Making middleweight, which you've been doing for years. I don't understand why a fight of this size, when he's going on national TV, and he's decided that he's not going to make weight. He did it against Ndam, he did it against Rosado and Kaneki and Winky Wright and everyone else he's fought. I don't understand what the problem is with this. And I really favoured him in this fight because I really like Andy Lee, but I don't rate him very much. But if Andy Lee was ever going to beat him, I mean, tomorrow's the night, really. I mean, he weighed in perfectly. He had no problems. And like I said, he's got a great opportunity now to bring that belt home with him and make some serious money in future fights.
And I know, people say Heyman doesn't care about this belt, but I think he's going to be pretty pissed with Peter behind the scenes. I think if you look at it like this, they've got him this fight. He turned down the big payday. He got him after vacating the title. He got him back into this title fight. Apparently, they paid Billy Joe Saunders. I mean, some people have it £100,000. Some people have it as high as £300,000 to step aside so Quillin could get into this title shot. And now he's not even going to be fighting for the title. So you wonder what's going to happen after this fight in regards to Heyman, because we know how powerful and influential he is. And a lot of his fighters have been on the shelf recently while they transition from Showtime or HBO or wherever to this PBC. So you got to think now, is Quillin going to be up for this like he would have been for the title? And I think Paul's right in the sense that this is Andy Lee's best chance to win now, because he's obviously going in there defending his title no matter what.
I'm hearing now that Lee is going to be keeping the belt no matter what happens. So a few more tweets have just come out that Lee will be keeping it, win, lose or draw, which maybe will make motivation for Lee winning a bit less, because he doesn't have to feel like he necessarily has to win it just to get home and defend his belt in Ireland or whatever.
Well, that's not bad. That's another payday that he'll get then. So if he loses, he can just fight Saunders for another check.
But see, for me, it's like when Lamont Peterson lost to Matisse and he kept his title. I know that they agreed on the catch weight, the £1 above. But when you get knocked out in 3 rounds, I don't think you should still keep your belt. And I think it's the same for Andy Lee. Win, lose or draw, he keeps his belt. But if Peter Quillin went in there and did a job on him, I'm not going to be calling Andy Lee a world champion. I don't think many people will be still calling him, no matter if he keeps it or not.
I disagree, because I mean the fight is made at middleweight. It's a £160 fight. One fighter made the effort to make the weight and defend the title at that weight. For me, the belt shouldn't be involved in the fight tomorrow, and it's a non-title fight. It's no different to, it's different to Danny Garcia, Lamont Peterson, because they had the option to make it at 140. Both fighters could have done it. They could have put one or both belts on the line, but they chose not to. So with this fight, there's no excuse as to why Quillin couldn't come in at the weight. It's not Andy Lee's fault that he came in over. So Andy Lee followed the strict rules set by the WBO. Peter Quillin didn't bother. So
that's a fair point, actually. Yeah, I agree with that.
I think the fine should be a lot more than all, because normally it's on fucking snidey. I think personally, if you don't make the weight, you should get at least half your money took off you, doesn't it?
Yeah,
it depends though, doesn't it? I mean, if it's blatant, then they definitely have. But if they really tried and they're sweating the bollocks off and they only miss it by a couple of ounces, then half is a bit much.
Yeah, by the looks of it, he's tried to get down. I mean, he could have just said, "No, I'm not bothering." Like when they do that, I just think the other person's got every right to say,
Salido
"Fuck
done
the
that,
fight."
didn't he? Salido just didn't bother his arse, didn't he? He actually put weight on after the fucking weigh-in.
That's the worst thing, when you see a guy turn up, doesn't make the weight, and then just says, "No, I'm not bothering." And the other fighter has to take the fight because the payday and everything and the TV exposure. That's just not right. But Quillin, to his credit, has tried to lose weight. He's got down to 160.6. Maybe they could have come to an agreement, Andy Lee, and said, don't bother trying to lose the weight. If you can't make it, and you've heard it before where the fighter next day weighing, or if they did that, he couldn't be a certain weight in the morning of the fight. Maybe I think the IBF sometimes do that.
Yeah, but again, it was always the argument that Lee should make him come out and sweat and try and lose the extra pound because any advantage that Andy Lee can get going into tomorrow night's fight, and it's a fair advantage because Quillin is given 2 hours to lose a pound and 4 ounces. He failed to do it. I mean, he did take off some, and I reckon what he's taken off will do his body not much good for tomorrow. And you can argue about the health reasons as to whether it's a good idea to do that or not. But if I'm Andy Lee and I'm Adam Booth, I want every single little advantage, even if it means that he's lost a couple of ounces. If that makes him 1% slower tomorrow, then I'd make him do it.
The first thing they should be doing is he should be, instead of doing the normal Andy Lee headhunting, just fucking Hail Marys and all that, he should be going to the body, try to soften that fucker up.
You should box him tomorrow. Do something that in his last, like I said, I mean, a lot of people have been a bit harsh. Well, I say criticise me for saying it, but Andy Lee has, in his last 2 fights, has won 1 round. He's lost every round against Jackson and sparked the guy. Then he lost every round apart from the stoppage round against Korobov. So he's not looked great in his last 2 fights, but he's found a big shot. This is a fight now. And
see the way I look at that though. I look at that the same way as see when Amir Khan went to Virgil Hunter. He looked fucking ghastly for the best part of about a year, and it took him a good few fights to kind of adjust to that. And I just think this is the same thing where he's taking time to adjust to Adam Booth. So we might see a lot of better man. That's quite sensible for me. I need to quit that.
Yeah, I just think in terms of the actual fight, I mean, I might have to go back and edit all this out if it turns out the opposite way. But when you look at that Jackson fight, Jackson was a lot smaller than Lee, and he was still getting to him and hurting him and pushing him back. And you just think Quillin, you might not think much of him, skillfully, but he's a big, strong middleweight, and he hits hard, and he's got fast hands, and I think he's going to beat Lee to the punch. And
I was surprised at how big he was standing next to him. I mean, I know he is quite tall in that, but he is big for middleweight. So
when he rehydrates tomorrow as well. So
going down to a 154 just sounded fucking insane.
Quillin's really stocky though and muscly. That's the thing. Yeah. Andy Lee's quite wiry and sort of gangly. Quillin's really sort of a beefy cunt, isn't he? So
it's just a shame because, like I said, tomorrow there's 2 good fights on. It's just a shame that both are going to be, they're not going to be title fights. One's obviously an agreed catch weight, and the other one now is.
The thing is, the PBC will not even mention any of this. They'll just kind of brush over it. Like, no cunt will know none the wiser. I mean, they don't show the belt, so you'll know. If Quillin won, they'll not show them anyway, so they'll fucking not have a clue. And they'll not even mention any of that. Apparently, last week, Virgil Hunter and Paulina Malignaggi were quite critical and all, but everybody else, they'll not fucking say a word. You'll probably see Teddy Atlas fucking getting in line and not mentioning fuck all.
I doubt whether they'll even mention the failing to make weight, to be honest. I just think they'll just they'll brush it over.
You've seen it over here. You've seen it with matchroom cards when they don't make weight, and it's as if whatever. It gives a fuck. It's not for a belt. I mean, we've had it plenty of times.
I always go back to what I say about I don't get people that enjoy weigh-ins. Weigh-ins are there solely to fuck up fights, and this is a weigh-in which has sort of put a dampen on a really good fight. And like PBC, they won't mention it, they won't talk about it. The belt won't be on show anyway. We saw with Stevenson last week when the belt was left on the ring apron, where it should be. After 3 rounds, an official came and got rid of it because obviously Uncle Al said we don't want that there, and it'd be the same situation tomorrow. So I think. We moan about the belts and we moan about the sanctioning bodies enough. We haven't got 2 good fights tomorrow. It's still a good card, but it's showing this show represents more about what Heyman's trying to do than any of his others he's done yet. And I think it'll be interesting to see how it plays out.
See, this is exactly the reason why, for instance, ITV, we'll just say that. That's for they channels don't take this seriously and they don't want to go anywhere near boxing. That's how they get out it because it's fucking boxing's so volatile. Cunts can't make weight. They end up pulling out injured. They don't give a fuck. We'll just do this. We'll give somebody like 50 grand out of a 10 million purse, whatever, and we can just do what we want. That's how boxing's so volatile. No cunt sticks to the rules. You get very few people that actually do it.
Right, well,
even Mayweather against Marquez when he just came in and said, you know what, I'll take the fine. I'll just come in over.
$500,000.
Exactly.
Well, Brian knows about that. That's worse than steroids, isn't it, Brian?
Definitely. Apparently.
Right. Well, while we're on this fight, you can all make yourselves look stupid now. Give your predictions, and then we'll get taunted tomorrow when we're all wrong. Alex, prediction for the Quillin Lee fight?
Andy Lee KO.
Brian.
See, I was picking Quillin points, but I'm kind of getting sucked into the Andy Lee hype train. I know the guy's got the fucking best.
Oh, Andy
in
Lee,
boxing.
come on, up the Irish!
Ah, I know you're there. I piss in your name, Giuseppe. I'm going for Andy Lee fucking stoppage. Yeah.
Paul.
Well, on the basis that at least one of us will be right, I'm going for Quillin. I think just because he's weighed in poorly, I still think he's a much better boxer than Andy Lee is. He's shown that he can hurt and put down good fighters like Hassan and Dam. I think he wins pretty much every round of a points decision. I hope I'm wrong, though. I'd be happy if he did, but I hope I'm wrong.
The only thing I've got with Quillin, though, is when has he actually fought a legit middleweight? When was the last time, really?
I mean, Hassan and Dam is if you look at it now, he's a legit middleweight. I mean,
but he says that he got his wisdom teeth and all that took out, and he was fucked for that.
Well, he was. He got dropped about 8 times.
Aye, but he says he was. Aye, but
he did get his wisdom tooth taken out, probably. I mean, Quillin hit him enough.
It might have been knocked down 5 or 6. I'm not sure.
But it's Quillin not. Is that he not quite bad for like having people coming up and like fighting him? He's not really. His opposition's been absolutely fucking horrible as well.
His record's bang average, really, when you look at it.
But then again, he's been a work while. He's held a belt since like 2012. So and he's only fought 4 times. So he's fought not brilliant opponents, but I don't think with Quillin we don't really know how good Quillin is yet. I think I said it since the fight got made. I just think stylistically he's a mare for Andy Lee. And when I hear Frank bang on about the Billy Joe Saunders fight as though it's a guaranteed thing to happen, I just sat and thought Quillin's going to win. And just because he screwed at the weight doesn't mean he can't win tomorrow. And for the sake of my accumulator, he better win on points, not knock him out.
Yeah, I like Andy, and I do hope he wins. But I'm like Paul. I don't really rate him, and I think Quillin will knock him out, to be honest. And I don't think it goes late. I think mid-round stoppage, I'd say. I think it comes down to both have got power. But I think Quillin's the tougher, and I think he's going to take Lee's shots better than Lee. He's going to take Quillin's, and I don't think his move to Booth has really helped him anyway. I don't see any improvements at all. So, yeah, I think that's 2-2, isn't it? 2 for Lee and 2 for Quillin. So.
Andy Lee's record against fat people who can't be asked to make weight isn't very good because he got knocked out by Chavez in 7 rounds. So
Chavez
if that's a
weight
precedent.
that time. Chavez made weight.
Yeah, but he put on about 18 pounds in between. Fat bastard.
And fucking cheated with the ring and didn't get tested after it and fucked off.
Yeah.
Big fucking. But it's saying that like no making weight is worse than taking steroids and punching some cunt in the head.
All right, we'll leave that topic for another day. I think I'd like to thank Alex Morris, Brian King, Paul Webb. I'm Kurt Ward, and we'll see you next time.
40-0.